Tremor is officially here in Mortal Kombat 1. Now normally I would make sort of a guide, a basics guide, but as it's a cameo, I want to give you the quick introduction first, but more so as more of a day one roundup. Let's talk about the tech, let's talk about what people are using this cameo for at a high level already, because there's actually some pretty decent source here and we've only just seen this character release. So first of all, let's talk about the fact that Tremor has three variations: Aftershock, Metallic, and Crystalline. These have different moves. You probably saw the combat cast. I want to give you a quick refresher, but I'm going to try and keep it as digestible but quick as possible. First of all, Aftershock. Forward cameo is a punch that knocks the opponent on the floor. It's very simple. It's a high. It can be used not being too bad on block at the end of a string, but more so it just sends the opponent far away. One of the main moves of Aftershock is up cameo because this is a mid-hitting launcher. This gives every character in the game a hit confirm. A character that may struggle to get damage outside of spending meter, like Sub-Zero for example, can use this, get himself a combo off most of his touches, and it's better than it was before, because now you haven't got to spend meter. The third move of Aftershock is a low. 3 separate attacks that hit low. This is better used in the ambush side of things that I'll cover in a minute, but ultimately it's a low. So if you have something that hits overhead, like Subs 1-2-2, you can do 1-2 low. Enforcer mix-up here. Whether it's reactable, we'll have to wait and see because the character is brand new, but that is the basics. So Aftershock, probably the most simple of the 3 variations. Now, the next variation is going to be Metallic. Metallic is more of a ranged variation. Forward cameo is a mid-hitting lava blast. This can work in combos in an ambush sense. However, it's plus on block at +4, but it has a lot of pushback. Let me just quickly change to the right variation. Do forward cameo. As you'll see, it's plus, but there's a lot of pushback here. The move I'm not so convinced of is up cameo in Metallic, because this version doesn't hit the opponent on the ground. It only really hits them if they're airborne. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but it's pretty simple in what it does. One of the main moves in Metallic is back cameo because it's a low projectile and it goes pretty fast and it goes full screen. So if you want an extra projectile, that's not too bad. You can hold this input and you will instead throw an overhead version. This overhead version can be comboed off. As you can see there, it came up as a 2-hit combo. Other characters probably have something better for that. However, you just have something full screen that you can enforce, so that's not too bad either. The final variation is Crystalline. Crystalline is all about utility. The first attack is forward cameo. This is both a strike and a projectile reflect. The reflect is self-explanatory, so is the forward punch function of this move. The important thing that a lot of people may not know is that it's probably your best defensive reversal. This can work as a wake-up attack. It can also work as a reversal on block to interrupt gaps. It's not the greatest move in the world. However, as far as single hit reversals go, with all the cameos, this one's actually pretty good. So if you don't have meter and you still want to interrupt a Johnny Cage gap or something, you can use this, and most of the time you'll get away with it. So that's not too bad either. The main move of Crystalline, however, is the armor. Back in cameo, it takes a little bit to start up, however, for about 4 seconds you have infinite hits of this armored state. Anyone that played Injustice 1, or MKX of course, it's that state where it's a set on-hit animation that will replace everything else. The really important thing here is that you armor up, do something reckless, and now you won't eat a full combo for that. To demonstrate, let's go in with Raiden. We'll walk back a bit. We'll do this move, for example. You can see the on-hit reaction there. I'm going to armor up. And as you can see, I'm still standing. That is because this move has a different on-hit animation in general that will apply to every character in the game. This means you can actually punish things on hit that otherwise wouldn't be. For example, if I have Raiden wait a little bit just so I can actually go into armor, and then I down 2, for example, try and block afterwards. If I were to armor up here, you can actually punish things on hit. That down 2 was punished because I got hit by it, but because of the on-hit animation, the down 2 didn't recover in time, I can dash in and do something. So there are many different applications for this. The Crystalline from MKX, the function is quite similar, where you armor up and you just do something that is normally unsafe, and now if they block it, you are pretty much completely safe. There are other things you can use this for that I'll cover in a minute, but that's the basic. These are the basics of all the moves. Let's talk about how to make them all ambush, because this is really important. So a lot of people are wondering, how do you turn these things into an ambush attack? Tremor is unique. Every single attack he has can become ambush, and this is where it gets really interesting. If you tap R1, or your cameo button, you will cycle between all of the variations. If you press down and cameo, you will cycle in the opposite order. You always start as Aftershock, and you can swap between them as you go. You probably saw that in the combat cast. However, how to make an attack an ambush whenever you want is done by cycling into the variation first and then inputting the cameo move you want to do. Let's say I'm Aftershock and I want to swap into Metallic and do the bowling ball. It's cameo, back cameo, there you go. I've gone into the stance change, essentially, the variation swap, and I've just cancelled into a different attack. You can cancel into any of these cameo moves. You can do it for any of the different moves, which technically gives Tremor 9 different ambush cameo attacks. The trade-off, as you may have noticed from the top left, is that it costs the entire cameo gauge to pull off, so it's expensive. This means that, if you want to cycle to Crystalline and get free armor without having to worry about the startup, you can do so. It's just going to cost you a lot more than using it standalone. Interestingly about Crystalline's armor as well, is that normally using Crystalline, if you look at the cooldown on the top left, when you use the regular version, it starts to cool down the moment Tremor has applied it. If you use the ambush version, it actually won't start to regenerate until the armor has disappeared. So there's a longer cooldown. The overall cooldown of the ambush usage, though, isn't too bad because it doesn't take too long to come back, and all it takes is that half gauge on the top left for you to be able to do something else. Every cameo attack that is not ambush will cost half of the bar. It is only the ambush version of a move that costs the entire thing. The applications of this will drastically change depending on the character, depending on the matchup, and this is where a lot of the tech is starting to be discovered from. It's all about the ambush and the various stuff you can do from it. On that note, let's start talking about what top level players are doing, because already, even though we're barely day one, there's some really good stuff. Starting with Reiko. So it turns out Reiko has a new best friend, and his name is Tremor. We've all seen the command grab combos with Darius, where you call in Darius, he gets a combo, big damage, even post-patch. We've seen Rewind do it all the time competitively. Turns out, Tremor gives you the same stuff but better, and it all comes from ambush, back cameo in Aftershock. What I mean by this is, you can do combos in a very similar situation and get more damage than Darius is currently giving you. And it's not just the command grab. If you have the right timing, bear with me, it may take a couple of tries. Or not. You can turn your armored reversal into a full combo as well. Now that's not optimal damage, I'm sure. However, the important thing compared to Darius is, look at the cooldown. That's what I find really interesting here, is that the cooldown is actually much faster than what Darius has in general. Which means, if you're going in for ambush attacks, no matter what the ambush is, most of the time it's going to be turning things into big damage with Aftershock. The cooldown being faster means that Reiko has access to more utility than just that. Should you want to armor and then go ham, you totally can do that. There's nothing stopping you. However, in this current version, Reiko can get big damage with Aftershock, but loads of other utility. Think Darius in this matchup, but even better. For this next example, I've gone back to Sub-Zero, because currently the frame data on 2 different moves in Aftershock can be different depending on character. I don't know if it's a bug or not, I'm not going to make that concrete, claim, essentially, but it does result in some characters benefiting differently for some of these options. The straightforward punch with Sub-Zero is -1. If you want the mid-hitting launcher, it's -7. Both of these are safe. -7 is completely safe in this game, with the exception of a small handful of fast attacks, which means with a -7 mid-hitting launcher, Sub-Zero can go overhead, safe launch, low, safe launch. Any confirm you may miss, safe launch. For Sub-Zero, that is massive. Now, how long it's going to stay, I don't know, but I want to get this in your mind early, because until this is changed, if it gets changed, it does mean some characters have different frame data on Aftershock. Predominantly these 2 moves. And it's really good for Sub-Zero because on hit, overhead launch works. Low launch works. Sub-Zero can commit to his otherwise completely unsafe overhead. It's now safe. You get a full combo, corner carry, swap to Crystalline if you want, you know, corner them, set up the clone, armor up, go ham once again. The choice is yours, really, and so much of it can stem from a safe overhead, something that normally Sub-Zero has to work pretty hard towards without actually getting himself a full combo anyway. You have to compromise. Here, you don't. But it's not just Sub-Zero that benefits from this. It turns out Scorpion has this as well. So one of Scorpion's major weaknesses is that his mid isn't very good. You have to go in for, you know, forward 3 death spin, call in something else, an ambush to make it safe. If you're doing it with Tremor, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, seeing it's the entire cameo gauge to do it. When I talk about characters that have safer moves on block from Aftershock, the only 2 characters I've seen have a -7 mid-hitting launcher is actually Scorpion and Sub-Zero, funnily enough, which means that Scorpion, off his mid, has another mid that's safe on block. This mid leads into a full combo. You can get yourself full damage from this, whatever you want to do. It's completely safe for Scorpion to throw out his mid, and now it's completely risk-free. There are other things you can do with Scorpion that may help you here. You know, of course, if you want to do anything into Death Spin for Chip, you can always call in some kind of ambush attack, whether it's the bowling ball, whether it's the magma blast, whatever you want to do. But just having the different frame data on Aftershock currently makes your mid a lot better. It's just very strange that it exists. For some characters, this mid-hitting launcher is -16. For some of them, it's -10, -11. It just so happens that for Scorpion and Sub-Zero, it's -7. And I don't understand why that is, but right now, it's very good. Now, this next one might be kind of confusing, but bear with me. The armored state of Crystalline means that you can punish things that are not normally punishable. Geras' 1-bar combo breaker is one of those things. It's because of the set on hit animation I mentioned right at the start of this video. As you can clearly see, the opponent does not get knocked away the same way they do usually. And this is huge for some characters, because something like that is frustrating for players to deal with, and it's a set situation that normally has one outcome. The character gets away for free, or if it's a low hat mix-up, they can do something wild and you gotta hold it. With the Crystalline armor, it changes the rules of the game. It doesn't last a huge amount of time, however, if you have Crystalline armor, a Geras or anybody else may have to second guess something that up until this point is uncontestable. And that is why Crystalline armor is so good in general. And finally, what we're seeing a lot day one is something that, once again, the ambush Aftershock low will do. So call in the ambush, do back cameo. You will notice immediately that all 3 hits there will combo. It is a true combo, 3 hits, as expected, no surprises there. For some reason, if you combo into this, it's an automatic reset. I can demonstrate this with Sub-Zero because he's the one I found it with, but loads of players are using different characters. You can do something like this. You will notice the combo ended, however the lows continued because the first hit landed. The rest of them didn't combo, but they still hit as lows. What does that mean for my character that has an overhead? It means that, and I don't know if Sub-Zero is the best example, I'm seeing the most devastating stuff with Sindel right now, is that should you get this situation, you kind of create some really weird hard to blockables. Now I think I may be mistiming it here, I haven't looked into it too much on my side, but I've seen a lot of players talk about it, is that you get hard to blockables almost guaranteed. You just need to have the opponent on the ground. That is where it might be a little bit more limited with who can and can't do this. So the corner, again, just to demonstrate, it comes from the ambush back cameo of Aftershock. You combo, and totally mistime it because I'm amazing at video games. There are hard to blockable situations that come from that, and I think I'm not surprised that we're seeing Sindel do this a lot right now because she has a lot of means to end a combo with you on the ground, with your feet on the ground, to mean that the low can connect, and then it creates the automatic reset with a built-in overhead that a character might have. It's pretty dangerous and something we may see a lot early on. Those mix-ups are no joke. But overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm trying to keep things really simple from a tutorial sense in this video because a lot of people have seen the combat casts, and of course there are plenty of other talented creators making videos teaching you the basics of a cameo like this. You know, shouts to Waz, for example, who's doing a great job on YouTube. But I wanted to make this video more about the competitive player applications for a cameo, so fresh off the press. And already, as expected, there is tons of stuff that only this cameo is doing, which makes me very excited for the competitive future. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. I will see you this weekend in Paris for UFA, the European Pro Competition Stop. Cannot wait for you to check out the action, and I'll see you next time. Take care.